2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to the NESN Soccer Podcast. I'm Marcus. He's Mark. I'm doing my best Mark DiBenedetto impersonation on a scale of 1 to 10. Mark, how was it?
I give it a 6.
All right, not bad.
Yeah.
That was my first crack at it.
Yeah.
Your voice sounds terrible.
Yeah, my
today.
voice has been gone for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
If you guys listened last week, it was also gone, but that podcast was majority your interviews.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was hardly on it, so we kind of got away with it. But
Okay.
I feel fine. It's just, my voice is gone, but I've got my tea.
Maybe it's time for some quiet contemplation in your day-to-day life. And
Yeah, I got to make some changes.
yeah, but this episode is not about you. It is about Zinedine Zidane,
Yes.
who shocked me and the rest of the soccer world on yesterday, by returning to Real Madrid.
I thought this was not allowed almost, but
I thought it was a pipe dream.
Yeah.
I mean, when after Real Madrid lost to Ajax last week in the Champions League, ending their 1,000-day plus reign
Right.
atop Europe's elite competition, you knew something was going to happen with Real Madrid. Now, all the instant rumors that came out in the aftermath of that loss said the job was Jose Mourinho's to lose.
Right.
And that's what everybody was talking about. I had even heard last week that Real Madrid president Florentino Perez called Zinedine Zidane asking him to return. Zidane said no, and that coincided with the Mourinho rumors.
Right.
Fast forward, 3 days? Apparently over the weekend, Perez called Zidane again, and this time Zidane said yes. And on Monday, the rumor broke, sort of in the afternoon, and I said, wow, that's, when I saw it, it came from reliable sources, and then everybody had it. So by Monday afternoon, they were introducing Zidane to the press, where he showed up and said he's back because he loves the club and wants to save it from crisis.
Right.
So,
What a hero.
yeah, what a hero. I mean, this is, have we seen this in
I can't
sports?
think of, well, a coach has gone away and returned to a team before. I'm forgetting where exactly.
Gone away from a big team.
Right. That's the thing is
And then returned. Oh, and I've left out a lot of the stories that Zidane left just 10 months ago.
yeah.
Real Madrid hired and fired Julen Lopetegui
Right.
after that,
was rough.
debacle that we've covered in painstaking detail. And then they hired and fired Santiago Solari, all in the last 10 months since Zidane originally left. So,
What's more shocking? Real Madrid loses to Ajax or Zidane's return?
Zidane's return, because Real Madrid, I guess as we might discuss a little later, has been playing like trash for most of the season. I can't think of a precedent where a coach, such a high-profile coach at a high-profile team, leaves and then comes back so quickly.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, in the grand scheme of
definitely not
things,
so quickly.
he didn't even sit out a whole season.
Nope.
I'd have to do a little bit of research on it. But I guess we should first talk about why Zidane left in the first place.
Yeah. Well, in the aftermath of the Champions League final, last season's Champions League final,
They just beaten Liverpool.
yeah, and they had 3 straight. Ronaldo is king of the world. Ronaldo announces he's leaving Real Madrid, which is shocking in itself.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought a whole bunch of dominoes were going to fall from that. The only one domino fell, and it was Zidane also left. And then most of the Real Madrid, star roster stayed in place.
Yes.
And the big question was things like Gareth Bale and Marco Asensio up front. Who's going to get the minutes? Who's going to play? Who's going to be the go-to guy? Mm-hmm. And with Ronaldo leaving, it kind of answered those questions. but there was no reason really that you would think Zidane would leave, except that I guess we're sort of under the impression that Zidane wasn't going to be able to make the decisions he wanted to make roster-wise at that time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of speculation, but I think pretty clear that at this point he's probably going to be able to make the decisions that he wanted to make.
Yeah, I think
that's why he's returning.
I guess we have to go back, rewind for about 13, 14 months. Real Madrid's season was not going well last year.
Yeah.
And there was talk that Zidane might be on the way out if Real Madrid didn't reach the Champions League semifinal, I think it was. They weren't doing well in the league for most of the season, and there was just a lot of grumbling and griping. So Real Madrid ended up winning the Champions League. I was surprised by it. I didn't think they'd had enough to do it for a third consecutive season. But in that last 6 months of the season last year, Zidane had some pretty strong opinions about the way forward with the squad. One was to stick with Keylor Navas, even though Florentino Perez wanted Thibaut Courtois or David De Gea, wanted to upgrade at goalkeeper. Navas just won 3 straight Champions League, so Zidane wants to stick with him. Another big one was selling Gareth Bale. If you recall, Bale, right after the Champions League final, said he was going to look to leave if he's not playing every week. So instead of celebrating, this tremendous team accomplishment,
it was instant drama.
Yeah, instant drama. So I think the conventional wisdom is that certain ideas that Zidane had. So Zidane knew at that time that Ronaldo was probably going to be leaving that summer, and I think he saw the writing on the wall that Real Madrid was headed for, crisis. Real Madrid heading for crisis. So he says, well, I'm going to walk away with, my legacy secure and intact, because he wasn't getting the influence that he thought he deserved, and he probably did deserve.
Well, so what's interesting is that the accomplishment of winning 3 straight Champions Leagues is obviously massive, but Real Madrid, I think league-wise, hasn't really been to the level that you might expect a team that's done that to have been. And like we've kind of mentioned it, but last year they finished 3rd in La Liga. This year, Barcelona is running away with it again. Now, they won it in 2017, the La Liga title, but prior to that, they hadn't won since 2012, as I look at the list here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Barcelona has won
winning
4 since then.
Atletico Madrid's got 1 as well.
Yeah, Atletico. So, and we're looking at notes here, but in the 10 months that Zidane's been gone, in La Liga, Real Madrid is 0-2 versus Barcelona. They also were eliminated by Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, and
fairly easily.
Yeah, fairly easily. One of those La Liga matchups with Barcelona was a 5-1 embarrassment defeat.
Yeah.
Early on in the season, and then versus Atletico, they won 1, and there was 1 draw, and so there's just not really been the performance in big matches, and that's what Real Madrid's all about.
You talking about Real Madrid's record in La Liga. I think if you look at it, it sort of indicates where Real Madrid is and has been during what people are calling their second glorious era, which follows, when they won 5 straight European Cups in the 1950s. Real Madrid has been a great team, but by no means legendary in terms of domination or the level and the stylishness of their performances. They've just been, a great team that's won a lot, but they don't win league and European titles. They're not winning. They're not winning the league and the Copa del Rey or the Copa del Rey. This isn't a group that has been. They haven't been dominant. You could say they haven't even been. I wouldn't even describe them as serial winners. They are they're winners. You know, they've been able to get themselves up for the biggest games over the last few years. But in terms of sustaining excellence, they've been kind of up and down, which, you know, maybe you can attribute that to a lot of factors, but Zidane has to be one of them.
Yeah, and there's been kind of, the Champions League is weird because you obviously have to be an extremely talented team to win. But at the same time, there's plenty of examples of it's still a tournament, and kind of weird things can happen.
Yeah, the best team doesn't always win.
Right, so you look at last year, Liverpool was in the final. AS Roma was in the semifinal after knocking off Barcelona. Clearly, Barcelona is a better team than AS Roma. And then you even look at Real Madrid versus Juventus in last year's knockout rounds.
Yeah.
That was like
controversial.
A very controversial match. And
yeah.
If that had gone Juventus's way, you know, maybe
you would say they were the better team, and congrats.
And maybe Zidane's sort of fired in shame as opposed to walking away as this sort of higher being.
Yeah, that's exactly what
it kind of changes everything.
You know, I've asked on previous NESN Soccer podcasts whether Zidane is as good a coach as he was a player. And I'm going to answer that question. No.
It's better.
No.
He's not? Okay.
No. I'll take Zidane the player.
Yeah. Well, so this is what also is interesting to me is that
I'll take Zidane the player.
The Real Madrid's remaining schedule is relatively easy. They are still in third place in La Liga, so they're going to qualify for Champions League.
Assuming it doesn't all go belly up right away.
It would be pretty shocking.
Yeah.
So they're going to qualify for Champions League, and then you're going to have a summer transfer window where seemingly Zidane is going to be able to do and get the players that he wants, and then have an entire, season prep, off-season, preseason to line things up how he wants them. This is how we're going to play. And next season, 2019-2020, it will all be on Zidane. So if it goes belly up, if they aren't, really competing with Barcelona again to win the league and clearly better than Atletico Madrid, then there will be nobody else to blame but Zidane, which is why I think Florentino Perez kind of maybe agrees to kind of hand over things to Zidane for at least the time being, because it's win-win for him. If Zidane...
Win-win for
Perez.
Perez.
If Zidane does great and the team does great, then Perez wins.
Sure.
If Perez gets to fire Zidane, he'll probably take great pleasure in that. Or,
I doubt it.
Not pleasure, but, he does kind of whatever he wants, and he'll have no problems doing that.
Yeah, the early reports that were leaked were saying that Perez bowed to Zidane's original demands, and I think I included that when I wrote about the Zidane's return, is that Zidane initially said no, and then he said yes. Well, what changed? What changed was Perez says, okay, we'll follow your lead in terms of transfers. So the fact that that was leaked suggests that that was a purposeful leak. That was the only story that came out about why Zidane is returning. So that puts the responsibility for success or failure totally on Zidane.
Yeah.
With Real Madrid being masters of public relations and media manipulation. So if Perez has to fire Zidane, he can do so saying, blaming him for the players' failings and any failings in the transfer market. It's a good heat shield for him. And he's also the safest pair of hands that Real Madrid could find right now.
So before we move on to sort of player situations, we don't have this written down, but what is the bar for Real Madrid?
For the rest of this season?
Well, let's kind of just look at the results needed by, I don't know, this time next season. Or the results needed.
The bar is second place this year. They are 5 points behind Atletico Madrid with 11 to play.
That's tough. You basically have to win out.
No, they can. a lot can change.
Yeah.
One win, all of a sudden you're within one game and the pressure ramps up.
Yeah.
So I think second place is, third place is the bare minimum, but I think second place is the target. And they only have league games left to play.
Right.
I would say next season they have to be contending for the title at this stage. At this stage, where we are, March 12th, by mid-March next year, still in the Champions League and in the hunt for La Liga title, which is what Real Madrid aims for every season, no matter who's in charge and who's on the field.
And I would add that you have to do much better versus Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. We didn't mention that Real Madrid started their season losing the UEFA Super Cup to Atletico Madrid, which is a weird trophy in the first place, but it's just a bad way to start off your season.
It's a bit of a bellwether. It can be.
Okay, so what has to happen for all that to happen? We've listed a bunch of players on Real Madrid and otherwise who we think could be vocal points of the summer transfer window and what's to come in the coming year for Real Madrid.
Well, I guess we should just start, when I'm talking about teams, I like to start at the back. Keylor Navas, goalkeeper. He's been somewhat, it's criminal what they've done to Keylor Navas. Here's a player who's won 3 consecutive UEFA Champions Leagues. He's won the league for Real Madrid, won cups. And what do? Go out and buy Thibaut Courtois, who might or might not be better than him. Navas, just looking at his numbers here, he's played only 3 games in La Liga, 3 games in the Champions League, 14 games overall. Meanwhile, Courtois he's played 32 games, gotten the bulk of the minutes, and look at where Real Madrid is. So, I think Zidane's return, lifeline for Keylor Navas. I don't think they will sell Courtois, but that situation will be untenable because Courtois costs too much money to transfer from Chelsea, and he makes too much to just sit on the bench as a backup.
I would say that I think is the first thing to look at when the Real Madrid roster is listed this week.
Yeah.
Because that's the one spot where you can just be like, all right,
yeah,
you picked your guy.
Okay.
So
next player, Marcelo, the left back. 5 days ago, rumor had it he had signed with Juventus or verbally agreed. Marcelo has been in and out of Real Madrid's lineup under Solari. He's 30 years old, been there forever. Best left back in the world for some time, assuming you don't like defensive prowess. But Marcelo, all of a sudden, might not be going to Juventus because he has won so much with Zidane. So that sort of, that rumor exploded in the aftermath of Real Madrid's loss to Ajax, but all of a sudden, let's pump the brakes on it.
Yeah.
Sergio Ramos reportedly had a huge altercation with Perez in the dressing room after the loss to Ajax and told the president, if you want me to go, pay up my contract and I'll leave. Ramos also reportedly had an altercation with Marcelo in training the next day or the day after that. I have a feeling Zidane will be able to make peace between Ramos and other powerful figures at the club, and Ramos will end up staying, probably get another contract. He's 32 now. I could see him there for another few years. Who else do we have?
Isco.
Luka Modric.
Oh, Luka.
Modric, I have the feeling this is his last season at Real Madrid. He was close to joining Inter, or he was linked with Inter, and I think that will still be an option for him, but I'm not sure what his contract situation is. But he's 33 years old. He'll be 34 in September. Maybe he has one more season at Real Madrid max, but I get the sense that the writing is on the wall. Yes, his contract expires in 2020. I think if Inter or another team makes a suitable offer this summer, Modric will be gone, and that money will be used to fund a transfer spree for the ages. Next player, Isco, was on his way out the door. Kind of had one foot out the door under Solari. Hasn't been getting games, been sniping at each other in the media. All of a sudden, Isco was one of Zidane's guys, and I have a feeling Isco will be back in the reckoning. I'm not sure where exactly he'll play, maybe wide right or wide left, but he'll be back in the mix.
Gareth Bale.
Finally, Gareth Bale. It's kind of the one who started it all. Bale was never one of Zidane's favorites. Zidane could never rely on Bale to be there all the time, although he could rely on Bale to produce in the biggest moments. Bale's relationship with the Real Madrid fans has never been good, and it's reached another low point. He was whistled off against Ajax, and his agent came out with a strong statement about how disgraceful it was that the fans were treating his client that way. Zidane wanted to sell Bale. Perez did not want to sell Bale because Bale was one of the Galacticos, part of the vanity project that is Perez's transfer policy. I have a feeling this is it for Bale. He's if they can find, his contract runs another 3 years, but I have a feeling if one of the big English clubs offers 100 million for Bale, maybe 150. No, probably 100. He's 29. He'll be 30 this summer. Yeah, 100 million. I think Bale can be had. And if you look at Manchester City, Manchester United, and Chelsea, if they can appeal their transfer ban, could probably afford it. So one of those three teams. Tottenham is opening a new stadium. They haven't spent any money in the last 2 transfer windows. Maybe he could make a sensational return to Tottenham.
And him and Harry Kane exist together?
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Although I think Harry Kane would be the alpha in that.
Well, I think Harry Kane's better at this point, or he's entering the better part of his career.
Well, certainly. But Bale is... Well, that'll be interesting to see. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
That would be... I would be very interested in... I would hope that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Nice breakdown of sort of the key play, the Galacticos.
Thank you.
But I think it would be foolish to think that there weren't going to be some huge names coming into Real Madrid this summer.
Yes.
And by huge, we mean pretty much the biggest.
Yes.
So why don't you run us through our rumors?
Well, I've been, saying for like the last 2 or 3 years that Real Madrid was going to break the transfer market and reassert and show the world who was boss after PSG bought Neymar. They certainly didn't do it last year. This summer, Eden Hazard. Hazard will be entering his contract year. Has not committed to Chelsea's offer of $300,000 per week. He's probably worth close to double that. And I don't see him getting that from Chelsea. He's been there since, I think, 2012. And, he's always said Zidane was his idol, and he's dreamed of playing for Real Madrid. He's closer than ever to that happening. I think Chelsea will sell Hazard this summer, possibly in a swap deal for Bale, if they can bring somebody in. Either that or Christian Pulisic just becomes Eden Hazard's replacement. I think Hazard is going to come to Real Madrid. Rumor has it his price tag's at $100 million, and yeah, I think Real Madrid has that much to spend.
Well, I think it's definitely clear that Hazard will not be at Chelsea next season, I would say.
I wouldn't say definitely clear, but it's probable. More than likely.
Yeah.
Second rumor, Neymar. This rumor will never go away, will never die. Neymar. What's that?
It'll come true eventually.
Yeah, you just keep saying it enough. I don't think Neymar's leaving. Everybody. Neymar reportedly is unhappy in France. Reportedly misses, the glitz and the glamour that is playing for one of the big two Spanish clubs. And if Real Madrid were to offer maybe 250 million euros, which is maybe 25 more than what PSG paid Barcelona for him, they could probably get him. I have a sense it won't happen. When Neymar moved to PSG, part of it was a side deal, reportedly, where he is the face of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, which owns Qatar Sports Investments, which owns PSG.
Right.
So I have a feeling that deal will prevent Neymar from moving before 2022.
I don't know. Well, I guess maybe, but I don't know how much Neymar needs to be the face of the 2022 World Cup. Like, he could very well just be the face based on his play if Brazil does well in that tournament.
Well, certainly, but he's also earning upwards of $400 million on the side to be that face.
Yeah.
So you can be the face and not be paid for it, or you can be the face and be paid $400 million for it.
I think there's also the idea that if he were to leave PSG, his time there would be pretty much a failure, given that the club is eliminated from Champions League.
Yeah, the meme, the look on his face after they lost to Man United will be the lasting image of his time at PSG.
Yeah.
You know the look. I don't know if you know the look.
No, I do. Yeah,
it's a meme.
He was upset.
Yeah. And then finally, there's Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
Now, Kylian Mbappe will be linked with Real Madrid for the next 10 years. I don't think they'll be able to. They won't be able to buy him unless he demands to PSG that he wants to leave for whatever reason. Because what you have is probably the premier player in the world as of 2 years from now.
Yeah.
The only way Real Madrid can buy him is if UEFA forces PSG to raise funds in order to comply with financial fair play. So they're under investigation now. They haven't made any ruling, but if they have a ruling, PSG probably will have to sell either Mbappe or Neymar. I have a feeling Neymar would go first. I have a hard time seeing Mbappe leaving PSG anytime soon.
I think I agree that he's not going to transfer this summer, but Mbappe is of the level where he's just going to be too big even for PSG. He'll be too big for that club. And there will be...
I don't think that such a thing exists now.
I think it does. I think basically there's 3 clubs that I can see.
Who are they?
Barcelona, Real Madrid, and like Man United, that have like the ultimate worldwide appeal.
Juventus?
I'm not sure Juventus is there. Maybe Juventus and PSG are on the same level. And not many clubs are on that level, but just the ultimate level.
PSG, Man City, PSG, Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich.
Those are the highest.
Those are the big 5 right now.
Well, we can debate about that for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so the roster will take a lot of shaping by the time 2019-2020 season rolls around.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just a firecracker move for Zidane to return, and just I mean, I guess we started the show saying that like there is nothing to compare it to. Like I can't any coach return to a club or in any sport. It definitely happens, but like there will be years in between. there won't be as much drama surrounding it. There'll be some drama, but it just won't be as gigantic.
Right.
Won't have such massive players, so many massive players involved.
Well, you knew Real Madrid had to react to the loss to Ajax and the 2 losses to Barcelona, react in a way that was going to get those clicks.
Yeah.
And here you go.
All right. Well, can we say anything more about Zidane's return to Real Madrid?
I don't think it's going to work out for them.
You don't think so?
At the end of the day, no.
So does that mean you don't think there will be any major trophies won by Zidane this time around?
I'm not going to say that. I think it doesn't end well.
Oh, well.
And I think looking if we're looking back on this day 10 years from now, we're going to say Zidane should not have come back to Real Madrid.
Right, okay.
Or Real Madrid should not have brought Zidane back.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Tweet at me in 10 years.
All right.
if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think we're launching a dynasty here of a reign of 10 plus years of Zidane at Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think this will tarnish his legacy, although I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
He'll win something, but it just won't be enough.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, Real Madrid isn't the only club in the world. There are some high-quality matches taking place this weekend.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
Okay.
Let's start with the FA Cup quarterfinals. Man United and Manchester City are both playing in the quarterfinals. Man United taking on Wolverhampton, and Manchester City taking on Swansea. Have you watched much of the FA Cup this year?
Sure.
Yeah. You like the Manchester clubs to get through here?
Yeah, I think
they're both on the road.
What's the other quarterfinal matchups?
Not as big of clubs as those ones.
Right. Oh, Millwall, Brighton, and Watford, Crystal Palace. I have a feeling Man United and Man City will win this weekend. The draw will be fixed to keep them apart in the semifinals, and they'll meet in the final where Man City will win handily.
Yeah. Okay. AC Milan takes on Inter Milan in the Milan Derby.
This game I put in my calendar.
On Sunday, 3:30 p.m. AC Milan currently in 3rd place on 51 points. Inter Milan currently in 4th place on 50 points. Yeah. With AS Roma just 3 points shy of that in 5th. So massive match for both clubs. Obviously, the race for 4th place in Serie A is as competitive as any league this year, with roughly 4 or 5 teams competing.
Something like that.
So it just adds a little fuel to the fire here. I am overall surprised by AC Milan sort of being able to maintain their high level of play throughout the year, because it's been a few years now where AC Milan was kind of on the track back, and they've signed all these players, and then financial issues, and the owner is some sort of terrible person, and just haven't been able to put it all together. Now it seems like they're really in a good position, and maybe even better than Inter Milan, and I think favored in this game. But regardless, it's going to be definitely the top soccer match of the weekend.
Yeah, that's the only one that I have to watch.
Yeah.
The others are optional. No, the Milan Derby, listen, anytime these teams meet, except for that one friendly that I watched in Foxborough several years ago.
Oh, I was at that one too.
Were you really?
I was there, yeah.
Oh,
we didn't know each other yet.
Yeah. I was
young.
That game soured me on friendlies forever, by the way, because I said if these two teams can't be bothered to play seriously, I can't be bothered to go. Anyhow, anytime they meet and it's competitive, it is worth watching, because Milan is one of the great cities in the soccer world, and those two teams playing is one of the great occasions, period.
Yeah. It's going to be good stuff. Ronaldinho played in that game.
He did, yes.
That was my big thing.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to go.
And he was loafing around.
Yeah, I was not particularly impressed.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll let you close out the show. I would just like to say thanks.
Actually, can't do the closeout because I don't remember the I don't remember the script.
Well, in that case, first of all, thanks everybody for putting up with my voice and listening to Marcus's soothing voice talk about Zidane's return.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to hear more of the NESN Soccer Podcast, go to iTunes, search NESN, N-E-S-N, to subscribe to the NESN Podcast Network, where you can get every NESN Soccer Podcast. I'm not going to go into it anymore because my voice is just about gone completely. So thanks a lot, and we'll be watching Real Madrid closer.
Now, boy, I tell you so. Come on!